All right, hey guys, Sam back with you here. We're Friday, May 11th, and as it's Friday, I'm going to squeeze in Bitcoin here as well. Now, I wanted to get a look at Bitcoin here because we still have this possibility here. There are two counts that could be in play here. I'm going to start with the alternate count because this is still a contender here. Now, the question has been here: have we completed, or this alternate here, which I still think it has real potential here to be the count that plays. This idea being here that I've got an I've got an expanded flat. So I've got my A wave in, I've got this 3-wave B wave here, and this is, there's some technical components here. So if I look at my A wave projected from my B wave here, if I pull this over right there, you can see it's right to the 272. Very common for a C wave relative to the A wave. If it's not going to pivot at the 100, the next most likely place statistically is the 1272. So this still plays as a contender as a B wave. The other variable here that if we look at the retrace of the third wave here, yes, we do come a little shy of the 38 potentially, and yes, we are in the kill zone here. So one thought is that you had an A, B, and a truncated C, but we don't make the algo target, right? So we don't get up here and get this in. Given the length of the third, that's, just I pause on that as a completed 5. Can I get a 5 count in there? Yeah, but I don't love the truncated C here. So I keep looking back at this alternate here. Now take note here. If I'm working for the retrace of the third, I'm just taking my 2 low to the proposed 3 high. Well, look what we've just done. We've just put in an absolute to the tick pivot here, and I just like 2 ticks off of the median line. So this continues to be a contender here as a flat in this correction, as an expanded flat with the B wave going beyond the third wave high. So this technical pivot down here suggests to me that we still have this as a contender with this as our target to complete this. So in white here would be 1, 2, 3 expanded flat into the 4 here in white, giving us this subdivision here. Now this is a pretty straight rip down here as we get the a little bit of FUD coming into the market. We get this straight rip down, but we come, you don't get much more technical than that, right? It's awfully good. Now we can do a few other things to try and continue to build that case. I can take the length of the A wave, project it from this B. What do I get here? Again, I'm almost spot on to the 272. So this fact that I go 1272 here to 1272 here, again, has me looking here. Look at this confluence that I get right here. So I've got all of this lining up. I've got my 1272, my 38, and my median line all at play here. And I've got this prior resistance here potentially in play here as support. So, you won't know until you see how we react coming out of this, but that is still a contender. Now look here. If we look at the length of the 1, if this is my 1, and I project from this is my 4, then I start looking up. If I'm right smack, if that is my 4, if I get it right on there. So I get some upper targets here that kind of get my attention. So I've got my algo target. Well, here's my 618.175 target. That would be an extreme for the 5th relative to the 1. But I've got my algo target. I get this nice little cluster. So if I expand this up here, I've also got my 200%. So I've got a pretty fat target up here. So length of the 1 projected from what this may be the 4th. This is still in play here as a contender here, even if we fatten this up a little bit and just keep it at the algo target here, because if they rip it up here, that will be a likely place to anticipate some sort of reaction. So that I like this count here. I continue to like it. So got to be careful here, but so if you're a buyer here, right, there's absolutely no reason not to be a buyer right there, right? Unless you're just wildly bearish. But I think you can be a buyer there with a stop under. I would place it just under this pivot here because I would want to see that. Would not want to see that violated here. So for a low risk here, there's 10 to 1 in Bitcoin, right? With a very, very tight stop. So again, the market's been screaming down. You don't have to take a big position here. It's not a bad place to consider a first bite. Now, keep in mind here, if I scrunch this up here, Right? You have so here we're at the 38. Here's the 58 down, or the 50 down here. So you can see if I pull this over, that's also a contender. Here would be a front run on the 50 because this could still come into play down here. So this whole thing could move down to the 50 where we know we're going to get algo participation here with all of this potentially moving for that. Right now we look at that. Now you got 8.6 to 1. Again, function of how much risk do you want to give this? I don't know that you don't have to give it that much. It's somewhat arbitrary there. But that gets you at 8.6 to 1. All right. So what would that look like? So you'd be looking. So if we get any sort of a bounce here that rolls over. So if we're going to get one more kick down to give us from this B wave to this C wave to get more subdivision down here. That certainly could be a play. Right? So, you got a number of different ways you could be reading this. This 5-wave structure here, this could also just be a 1-2 before we go down for a 3. So there's no clarity here. What we can work with is these dominant pivots. So if I look here 2 to my 3, if I'm going to come down to the 50, certainly a valid count that this would be. This would be a pretty good move for an irregular flat, so which is really just kind of a catch-all for a 3-3-5. So if I've got an A, B, and I'm going to come that deep on my C, it certainly is a contender. It doesn't violate any rule set. This would put us here at the 1618 relative to this A wave projected from my expanded B here. So I get additional confluence down here. Right here at my 50. So I've got this second, so I've got one buy zone, I've got a second buy zone. So one thought is here, you put on a smaller size position here, you could give that more if you want to give it as much room. Well, now you've taken it to, so I'm 3 to 1's a minimum for me. So you might just go a little, just under the 75. There's 3.15 to 1 with this as my target. Not good enough for you? Well, either skip it, tighten this stop, or you take, so you do it this way. So tighten that stop here. So if you're taking a first bite here off of this and you get stopped out, well, it's, right, it happens, right? Welcome to trading. So then you have the potential for a reload here at the 50 where you're going to get algo participation here. I promise you, it may not pivot there, but you're going to see a reaction. So a reaction is often the opportunity to tighten up your stop. So if you get a bounce there, it moves away, you can tighten up that stop. That way, if it fails and we're going lower and this count is wrong, well, then you're not carrying too much. You're not doing anything dumb like that. You just keep this here, take the stops if they get hit, because then this count or any of the bullish counts are again now become suspect. So just to clear this up here, that I think this is a valid place to be looking for entry. Again, don't back the truck up yet. Just a place to be, getting a first bite into the market here with a reasonably tight stop, knowing that this could very easily pull back here to the 50, because the alternate count plays this as a 50 of the entire move. So to give you that alternate count, let's move some of this off here. So all of this, I wouldn't keep that. So let me pull all of this off here, and we'll go look at the alternate, because that's worth. You would want to have one of each in play. So you can keep the hot boxes here as contenders here as we see this reaction once you've had that established. So the alternate here. Let me clean this up. So our alternate would be that we have an A, a B, and this C wave. Completes the correction, and then the 5th is in up here, right? That has been the primary count, but I keep looking at this alternate thinking, this is slightly suspect to me. Now it is technical, right? So if I can measure it here, I do have a very strong contender here. So I don't want to discount. This is the primary count. So if I take it from the 4 here, if that's my C, and I've got a truncated C wave here, I am coming, at least I get just beyond 100% the length of the 1. Very common target for the 5th. Very common. So this certainly is a valid count here. This 5 wave coming down sets us up for an A, B. This all may be going lower. If that's going lower down here for our C, let's consider that, right? So if that's the case, then this is complete. So now I'm looking for a second wave from my absolute low here to my absolute high of this motive wave of this impulsive structure. Well, where's my 50? right here, right? So if that doesn't give us the pivot here, and we're going to come down, and this is the primary count is in play. So to flesh that out, primary count would be 1, 2 going in here, 3, 4, and 5 are still to come. So if I put that in blue here, and we go up to, we can go to intermediate, okay? So then we get the bigger size here. So contender that I've got 1 in, 2 is down here somewhere. We know we like the 2, right? Open this up between the 50 and the 618, right? So same kind of a situation here. First bite is at the 50, knowing we could pull back as low as the 618. For a 2, we can go to the 786. But this is your prime zone. That's your kill zone here for the buy, trying to get into the third of the third. Right. Well, actually, this would be, we don't know necessarily where the third of that third is. We would just be getting into the beginning of the third wave. So it would not be the third. So if we're going to go up, if we're going to get a true Elliott count here, and we're going to get a high probability zone for our third, this puts our third way, way, way up here. So we'd be looking at 3, 4, and 5 going up and beyond that. All right, so this would be, we're up at 13.6. If we're going to come this deep for the 2, that's the ride you're looking to catch right there, that one, right? Can we get positioned in that to be there for that leg, for that swing, right? And again, it's not going to go straight. It's going to subdivide along the way. So that's the one we're trying to position for. Question is, do we have a, which of these counts is going to play? And you just aren't going to know. All you can do is make educated guesses, which is why you want these stops relatively tight, because we have too many contenders here for what this could be relative to this pivot here. So this is still the primary count. We're playing this as a completed 5, and the 2 is to come. But I would keep that alternate close by. So what I'll do is I'll split the screen. So I'll have one. I'll have 2 60-minute charts. I'll have my primary and my alternate, and I'm looking for tells along the way as to where I can get confirmation of one count over the other. Right here, there's a couple of problematic areas, right? Bitcoin's not going to make it easy. I don't love the subdivision here, but it plays, and then we get a very shallow B. So if we look from this pivot up here to my A wave here, I've got a shallow B. Yes, there are times, just like there are rare times where a second wave will only retrace to the 38. It's the same numbers here. It's about 12% of the time will you have a B wave go only to the 38 before it moves down. So it gives you that slight pause because we're outside of statistical norms. So A, shallow B down for the C. Well, I'm looking for this as a 5-3-5, so a zigzag in the second. Well, it's certainly reasonable. So can I get 5-3-5 in that? Well, I got to get another leg down here. So digging in a little bit more on this here. No, I don't, we're pretty much a straight shot here. So if what's the absolute high? This is my absolute high for the B wave. Coming into that, do I have the ingredient? Do I have the subdivision? Well, that's the deepest retracement we've had yet. 3, 4, you'd be looking for one more leg down. Now let's get that out of something that high. So is that, so here again, we'd have shallow 2. Decent 3, is that 3 longer than the 1? If that is my 1, that's my 2. Well, we haven't even gotten the third as long as the first just yet. Now the other possibility here is that that's your 1, 2 here. I don't like that as much because this is a deeper retracement. So it's riddled with areas where you have to pause and think, Well, we know a couple of tendencies. Come on, TradingView. Tendencies in here we have to think about. The third wave, right, does not have to be the longest wave, just can't be the shortest. So if we were to come down here like this, we could have the extension in the first, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5, but we can't really measure it until we get a contender for the 5th as to how that will relate to the first. And we could also have a diagonal. So we don't yet know. We've got to wait and see. Could we come that high? Well, if we do, then likely that's an ABC into that third to give me a diagonal to finish my C wave. So there'd be A, B, ending diagonal down here for my 5th to complete that C wave. That's a contender. So all of this moving over here. So let me zoom out a little bit. So, again, you're trying to build a roadmap to say, is it realistic that we could get there? Well, yeah, that's a path that could get us there. It could get us down here to the 50. The C would move over. This is no longer the 4. This is the 4 over here. Now we're trading this as a 2 down here. And there we go. So I've got AB truncated C wave here, right? So I get well, it's a flat, right? So we'd have a 5 3 5 into a C wave, right? So unusual, but we see it a lot in crypto. Strong market. We do get 5 here to complete this fifth, puts the top in for the 1, and now we're just sitting here waiting for the 2 to come in. How are we going to know? Well, remember, and as I took you through in what I'm considering the alternate count, if we get this kick up for this fourth and then one more push down, and then this area here no longer that ideal scenario for the 3-8 and the median line pivot that we put in here. If this rolls over one more time, then that reduces the probabilities of that alternate count and increases the probability that what we're experiencing here is just a correction of the 1 wave. And going down to the 50 is right where we want to start looking for buying opportunities. Can I get the subdivision here? Well, if I get this, if I come up here and I finish this in 5 and we go as deep as the 50, that confirms for me the probability that the dominant count, the primary count here is in play, that this is a 1 wave. And if we start off of this, if we come out of this zone here, that we're coming out of this with our 3rd wave. So we'd be looking for to get positioned for the 1st wave of the 3rd wave, knowing that those upper targets are way up here. So 13.6. So that's what we're trying to get positioned for, is this move here. If we're coming down to the 50 here, where we're at 8.2 to 13.6, yeah, I'll take a few swings at it to try and get aboard there. So that'll do it for the day here. We should see resolution here to where we can at least be, confirming this bias towards this primary account as opposed to the alternate, which I still have my eye on. So we want to learn more about this kind of methodology and this technical approach. You can always give us a visit over at TradeDevils.com. Lots of content there for you. We run a private monthly membership Discord that is very, very active. So you'll see all sorts of information there, training, as well as real-time trades that we're tracking that take you through entry, identification, stop placement, targeting. All of that, everything that I show you here is just a demonstration of how we analyze the market. So that's something to consider. And then we also have one-on-one coaching if that's of interest to you as well. All right, so I will wrap it there. Friday, middle of the day here. That'll likely do it here for the day. And I'll just be back to you. Well, I may have something teed up for Saturday as well. Okay, that'll wrap it for now.